Hi students. In yesterday's class, we have discussed about few basics we have discussed. So yesterday I've told about working with like differences between Java and Python and programming differences also we have discussed. Like as I said, this course is for 2 months. So within 2 months, we are going to discuss about core and advanced Python and chapters, and after that like this course may extend like 1 week like that, like within 2 months I'll try to complete. Otherwise 5 days or 1 week it may extend. And every day I will be sending you the recorded videos and notes. I'm going to send to your mail IDs. Okay. So students, in today's session will continue with Python flavors and Python features are there. So we are going to discuss all these one by one. And after that, we are going to discuss about the Python installation, interactive mode, batch mode, like all these we are going to discuss. So here when we say about Python flavors here, so here we can see different flavors are there. Yesterday I've told this, but once again I'll repeat and we'll move to next. So in Python flavors, you can see C Python is there. So C Python is written in C language and Python. So C Python is a default and most widely used implementation of the language. So when we say about C Python, it is default. Like when we say Python, it is it is C Python. When we say Python, it is C Python. So when you are downloading the software, when we are installing, it is C Python only. And when you are learning C Python, or when any faculty is telling Python, it means that it is what C Python only. It is default and most widely used implementation of the language. And here when we say about C Python, it is compiled and it is interpreted. So yesterday we have discussed this. So Python, like those who teach old versions of Python, they may say Python is having interpreter, works slow, all this. Okay. But when we see the latest versions of Python, okay, then there we can see like Python is compiled and interpreted. Here you can see C Python can be defined as both an interpreter and a compiler. So interpreter and a compiler, and here you can see as it compiles Python code, as it compiles Python code into bytecode before interpreting it. So before interpreting the bytecode here, before getting the native code, it will do like this. Okay. So yesterday I've told very clearly how the C program will work, how the Java program will work, how the how the Python program will work. All these all these we have discussed. Okay. So all these we have discussed, and here you can see if you write a Python program here, so Python program is high level language, and a Python program is compiled. Here Python compiler is there, and it gives a code. If a Python program is compiled here, okay, then it gives a bytecode. So bytecode we'll call it as a middle level language, or assembly language, or intermediate code. Again, this bytecode is sent to PVM, Python virtual machine. So PVM interprets the bytecode and it gives a native code. So native code we can call it as a machine. We'll call it as a low-level language or machine code or executable code or a binary code like zeros and ones. All this. So yesterday, as I said, bytecode means not a binary code. Bytecode means it is intermediate code or assembly language. Again, this needs a conversion. Yeah, like interpretation is required. So here you can see Python program is compiled and it gives bytecode. Bytecode is interpreted by PVM and it gives a native code or executable code. So here the use of this bytecode is it is used to run Python program in any OS, in any machine to run Python program. Bytecode is used. So with this bytecode, Python is platform independent and it is machine independent. So because through bytecode, if you get bytecode from any program or from any application, then it works in any OS, in Unix, Linux, in other operating systems, it will work. And in any machine, it will work. So with any CPU architecture, it is going to work here. It will works. So in yesterday's class, I have told about all this. Okay. And here this C Python is developed by Guido van Rossum. Okay, in starting classes, I've told Python is developed by Guido van Rossum, and this flavor C Python is developed by Guido van Rossum. And yesterday, I've told like whatever Python software I'm using, the software that is installed, it is C Python only. So in my system, C Python, when Python is installed, I've installed in D drive. So in D drive, you can see this. Here, Python 3.10.32 is there. So this is a Python folder or Python current working directory, Python working directory. So 3.10 means 3.10.5. So latest version of Python is 3.10.5 is there. And here you can see 32-bit is there. So Python software is available in 2 bits, 32-bit and 64-bit. In today's class, I'll tell what is the difference between Python 32-bit, Python 64-bit. What is the difference? In today's class, we are going to discuss. So here you can see include is there. And in include folder, you can see C Python. And here you can see all the header files are there. C language contains header files. Like we'll see, stdio.h, conio.h, iostream.h, all this. So here internal you can see here. Like this you can see here. And here you can see this next one, that is Jython or JPython is there here. So when we say Jython or JPython, it is for the combination. So whenever you want to go with Java and Python, like yesterday I've told, like when we take Python here, it is used for mathematical and numerical calculations, automation, handling big data, like any application you can develop using Python. In that case, in other languages, when we are developing applications in other languages using C or Java or .NET, any language, we can use Python code. Okay. In the same way, when we are using Python application, other languages code also we can use. Other languages code we can use it. Okay. So here, yesterday, as I said, every language has got its own features. Like C, C++ is used for system programming, and Java is used for fast execution. .NET is used for security. All these are there. Like what we can do is in Python application, we can write other languages code also. It will work. So it is going to work. So in that case, we can use this combination. Jython or JPython we can download and we can install. And here you can see Iron Python is there here. So it is used for .NET developers. So .NET developers, when they are writing the Python code, when they are writing the code in C#, and if they want to use Python code like combination, then Iron Python we can use it. And here you can see PyPy is there. So PyPy means we'll call it as a Python package index. So we can say Python package index is there here. Okay. So the use of this Python package index is it is used to download and install the Python packages developed by Python community or Python software foundation. Okay. So in Python, when we say about packages, package is a collection of modules. It is a collection of modules here. Like a module means it can be Python file or program. We can say library also. Okay. So module can have variables, functions. Then it can have have properties, classes. All these can be there. So in Java, when we say package, it is a collection of classes and interfaces. Okay. And in Python, we'll say package is a collection of it is the collection of modules. And here you can say Ruby Python is there here. So Ruby is the backend or server side technology. So while developing websites, we can see front end technologies and backend technologies, or we can say client side and server side technologies while developing websites, while developing web applications. Okay. So when we say front end technologies or client side technologies, like we can say HTML, JavaScript, CSS, jQuery, Bootstrap, DOM, like all these are there. All these are existing. All these are there. Okay. And here when we are working with this like backend or server side technologies, then like front end technologies are used to create static pages, static HTML pages. Okay. And when we are working with the backend or server side technologies, they are used to create dynamic pages. So dynamic pages means they'll show data from the server, dynamic data from the server, and they'll interact with the database tables. All these will be there. So here when we say backend or server side technologies, like we can see PHP, ASP, then JSP, servlets. Okay. And we can say like ASP.NET, ASP.NET MVC, Django. So Django is Python based. Django framework is Python based. And like Ruby, Node.js, all these are the backend or server side technologies that we are using here. Okay. So when we are working with this Ruby Python, okay, Ruby is what a backend or server side technology. It is used for creating dynamic websites, dynamic web pages or dynamic websites. So while developing dynamic websites using Ruby, so in that if you want to so if you want to use if you want to use a Python code like Python objects or Python functions or anything to perform some other task, then Ruby Python is used. And here you can see Anaconda Python is there. So it is specially designed for handling large volume of data processing. So if you want to take a large amount of data and if you want to process it, like this is done in data science. So in data science, we'll take a large volume of data and then we are going to process it. Then it is going to give the result it is going to give here. Okay. So here in my system, this Anaconda Python software is there. I've installed this. Like it is used for data science. So this is taking time for loading because many tools, many IDs will be there. So here you can see here command prompt is there. Like here you can see many are there here. Jupyter Lab is there. Jupyter Notebook is there. And here you can see the other options. Spider is there. VS Code is there. Visual Studio Code. And here you can see the like PyCharm also will be there here. Here you can see PyCharm is there here. Okay. So later I'll tell, like after a few classes, I will tell how to run a Python program in PyCharm, Python program in like Spider, in Jupyter, like all these IDEs we can use. In Anaconda Python, in this software, we can see many IDEs. Like IDE means integrated development environment. So it will allow you to work with different programs, different files, different projects, even different programming languages also. Okay. So especially when you work with data science, then you can use this Anaconda software. You can use it. You can download and you can install here. Okay. And here you can see stackless Python is there. It is used to perform multiple activities simultaneously or concurrently here. So whenever you want to do multiple tasks, like two or three tasks at a time, stackless use, and we use Python. Stackless Python can be used. Okay, so in our programs, in our classes, we are not going to use this. Stackless Python will not use, because in advanced Python, multi-threading programs are there. Multi-threading chapter is there. So we are going to write statements using. We are going to write statements using multi-threading, and then we are going to use multi-threading programs in Python application, so that it is going to perform the given it is going to perform the given tasks. So instead of using stackless Python, we are going to work with so here stackless Python is there here. Students, all these are the different flavors of Python. So among all these flavors, default is what? C Python. C Python is default and most widely used implementation of the language. And after these flavors, now we are going to discuss about what are the features of Python. Like here we'll discuss about new features, not the old one, old like what we have discussed. So only one or two will be repeated. Remaining will be new only. So here you can see in Python features, it is easy to learn and it is easy to use also. So as I said, Python is beginner's language, and Python is easy to learn and easy to use also. Like it is a friendly language. We can easily interact with the Python software. And here you can see Python is expressive language is there here. So Python is expressive language. Like Python is more understandable and it is more like a readable. It is readable also. Like here will not use the complex words, will not use, like in like whatever words we use, in spoken English, while speaking, whatever words we use, same thing is there. That's why Python is more understandable and it is more readable. And here you can see Python is a cross-platform language. So Python is platform independent and it is machine independent. So Python, when we are working with Python here, so Python works in Python software works in any operating system. Okay, and Python applications also works in any OS and in any machine it will works. So when you are working with Python software, so when you are working with Python language, then we can use any operating system we can use. So here I'm typing python.org. So when I type python.org, here you can see when I click on this download here, it is showing download latest version for Windows, or looking for Python with different operating systems like Windows, Unix, Linux, Mac OS, all these. So here, Python community or Python software foundation, they are providing software for different operating systems. Okay, so Python software works in different operating systems, and Python applications works in different operating systems without doing any changes. Okay, like for example, if I develop Python application in my laptop, uh, because in my system Windows is there, then if I develop Python application in my Windows, it will run in Unix, Linux, Mac OS, in other operating systems without doing any changes. So how it will run is through PVM, through Python virtual machine. So it is going to execute. Okay. So when we say about this Python, Python works in different flavors of Unix or Linux. So when we are working with Unix here, so we can see different flavors you can see here. So today I've told about flavors of Python. So when we say Unix, when we say about Unix flavors, here you can see many are there here. Many are existing. So here you can see Sun Solaris, and here you can see IBM AX, HPS, HBUX, AT&T's system VR4, BSD Unix, DEC Unix, Mac OS, SCO Unix, all this. And the Python software works in any flavor of Linux, like Ubuntu is there, Fedora is there, Linux Mint, OpenSUSE, PC, Linux OS, Debian, Mandriva, Sabian, or Gentoo, all these are there. Okay, so in some flavors of Linux, Python will be as inbuilt. Python will be as inbuilt. Like if you are using Red Hat Linux or CentOS Linux, then CentOS Linux, then all these. So in all these flavors, so Python is inbuilt. No need to install. It will be in that. We can use it. Okay, so here we can see many flavors of Unix or Linux. All these are there. So Python works in all these flavors of Unix and Linux. Uh, it will uh, it will works here. So in IT companies, they may not recommend us to use Windows, because Windows is not a free software, or Windows for 1,000 users or 5,000 users. If IT company, if they want to buy license, so then they have to spend lot of money. They have to spend lakhs of rupees. So instead of that, they may ask to use Linux flavors like Ubuntu or Fedora or Red Hat Linux or CentOS, CentOS. Many are there. Like they may ask you to use any OS, and you can develop applications, or projects can be developed. And here next one we are discussing now. So when we are Here you can see Python is free software, and it is open source, and it is redistributed here. Okay, so Python software is free software. We can download and we can use it. And open source means we can open the Python files, Python modules, and we can see what code is written, what functions are created, what classes are created. We can check. Okay, and redistribution means so whatever modules we are using, whatever libraries we are using, we can customize. So we can customize according to the requirements in the project. And whatever changes we have done in the modules or libraries, and we can give it to others so that others can use in their projects also. Like in your company, if others are working on Python projects, another team, other teams, if they are working on the Python projects and if the requirement is same, if they're having same requirement, then whatever changes you do in the Python files or libraries, you can give it to them so that they can use in their projects when requirement is same. That is called redistribution. And here you can see object oriented programming is there here. You can see object oriented programming is there. So Python supports object oriented here in my classes I'm saying that Python is a powerful language. Okay, and I'm saying that Python is a great software. All these words I'm using. So when I'm saying all these, students may have doubt what exactly this Python is. What language it is. Okay, so here when we say about this Python here, so Python will call it as a scripting language. So Python is what students, scripting language. Okay, so Python will call it as a scripting language here. And here other scripting languages are there, like shell scripting is there, Perl is there, PHP, TCL/TK, VB script, JavaScript, then Ant, PowerShell, Ruby, like all these are there. Like all these are the scripting languages. So Python is a scripting language, but it supports the features of many programming languages. So it supports the features of object-oriented programming. Here you can see on the screen. So Python supports the features of object-oriented programming. Sorry. First, we'll see with C language. So Python supports procedure-oriented programming. Okay. So what all we do in C language, how we'll write program in C language, we'll do in Python. And Python supports object-oriented programming, like how we'll do in C++ and Java, working with class and objects, implementing object-oriented programming features, all this. Okay, like in C++ and in Java, what all concepts you will learn. In my classes, you will learn all those. So in advanced Python, one chapter is there, object-oriented programming. So in that chapter, you will learn everything related to object-oriented programming. So if the student don't know anything related to object-oriented programming, no need to worry, because we are going to discuss in detail, very clearly about the OOPS concepts. Like we'll see what is a class, what is an object, and we'll discuss OOPS concepts like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, and then we'll discuss about static keyword, and then we'll discuss about function overloading, and then we'll discuss about types of inheritance, single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hybrid inheritance, then constructors, then operator overloading, destructors. Then we'll discuss about abstract classes, like how they are created, how they are used. All these we are going to discuss. Everything related to object-oriented programming we'll discuss in advanced Python. And here we'll discuss about scripting language, like we'll say shell scripting, Perl scripting, and it supports the features of modular programming. It will support. So there is a language called module 3 is there. Okay. So like many of you may not know about module 3, that language is there. So here in Python, from the beginning, we are going to create modules. Python file or Python program is called module that we are going to see. So Python supports the features of many programming languages like C, C++, Java, shell scripting, module 3, all these are there. Even though it supports the features of all these languages, so Python is not difficult. It is Python is easy only. It is easy to learn and it is easy to use. Okay, so here we are discussing about this feature here, object-oriented programming. So after completing the courses, when you do projects in Python or Django or other Python-related courses, so when you are doing a live or real-time projects, we have to use object-oriented programming. We have to use class and we have to use a class and objects we have to use. Okay, so we have to use class and objects we need to use. Okay, so when we use object oriented programming in live or real time projects, then the project will get then the project will get security, flexibility and reusability. Okay, so security is not for information or data. Security is for the coding, whatever code we write. Flexibility means that code we can integrate with other languages code, like what I said before. And next one is reusability will be there. Code reusability. With inheritance, it is possible. Like single inheritance, multiple, multi-level, hierarchical, hybrid, all these are there. So with that, reusability will be there. So when we are implementing object-oriented programming in the projects, then the project will get a security, flexibility, and reusability will be there. It is available. Okay, and here we are going to see the next one, that is memory management. We are going to see now. So now we are discussing important feature here, that is memory management is there here. So memory management we are going to discuss now. So here when we are working with other languages, when you are working with C, C++, Java and .NET, so they are called as strongly typed languages. Strongly typed languages. So when you are working with C, C++, Java and .NET, then you need to know, you have to know about what all data types are there, like how many bytes they are going to use. Okay, and how much, like what values it will store, what is the range of the values. So the programmers, like students or programmers, they should know the students or programmers, they should know the usage of the how to use data types. They need to know, like what data type use, how much memory it will use, what is the range of the data type, like all these are there, all these they need to know. Okay, so like for example in C language, if I give like this int a, then char s of 10 and float b. So in C language we'll give like this, the declaration in C language, int a. So here int is the data type, a is the variable, and in variable a we can store integer values. Okay, in a variable a, if I want to store characters, in variable a, if I want to store characters, students, is it possible? So it is not possible. We cannot store characters in variable a because it is what, strongly typed. According to the given data type, we have to give the values. If I give some other values, it will not accept. Okay, in variable a we have to give only integer values we have to give. So it is int 16 here, int 16. So when we show in bits, it is 16-bit. So 16-bit means when we say bits, 8 bits is equal to 1 byte. So 16 bits means 2 bytes. So for integer value in C language, it takes 2 bytes in the memory to store value. And here you can see char s of 10 is given. To store 10 characters, then it will uses 10 bytes. For variable s, it preserves 10 bytes to store 10 characters. Okay, so in the variable s, we can store characters, and numbers also we can store, but they are in character format. They are in string format only. And float B means it is used to store decimal values, and to store decimal value, it uses 4 bytes. It takes 4 bytes. Okay, and here coming to this Python, like if you take Python or VB script or JavaScript or PHP or Ruby, like all these are called as a loosely typed language. Loosely typed languages. So Python is called as a loosely typed language. Okay. So before that, like when you take the data types of other languages like C, C++, Java, .NET, they are called as static data types. Static data types means the data types are assigned to the variables at compilation time. At compilation time, the data types are assigned to the variables. Okay, so when we are working with this Python here, so Python is called as a loosely typed language. Means while writing programs in core Python or advanced Python, or wherever we are using Python code in a Django or else in other courses, we are not going to use data types. Programmer is not going to use data types. Program will assign data types to the variables, or we can say Python will assign data types to the variables. If Python is assigning data types to the variables, okay, then it is called as a dynamic data types, because when the program is executed or when the statements are executed, then data types are assigned to the variables. Okay, so in Python programs, you will not see data types because we are not going to use. So program will assign data types to the variables, or Python will assign. Like for example, if I say a equal to 100, then internally it will assign a as integer, s equal to Hyderabad. Then internally it will assign s as a string, and b equal to 12.3 if I give. Then internally it will assign as float. Okay, internally it will assign the data types. Like for example, if I use a equal to 100, and as I said before, so Python is having two types of Python is having two types of like bits softwares here, 32-bit and 64-bit. So in my system, Python 32-bit I'm using. Python 32-bit software I'm using. So if I say a equal to 100, then it will use a int 32. So int 32 means it will preserve how many bytes? 4 bytes. 32 means divided by 8. Okay, 8 4s are 32 it will takes here. Okay, so here 4 bytes it is going to take. So if I'm using Python 64-bit, if you are using Python 64-bit, int 64 will works here. Int 64. So int 64 means for integer value it preserves 8 bytes. 64-bit means how many bytes? 8 bytes it will take. So if you are using Python 32-bit software or Python 64-bit software, the chapters, modules, functions, concepts, everything is same. Memory usage difference will be there. You can see the difference in memory. Okay. So here, if you want to check this, here I'm using interactive mode. I'll use here. I'm using interactive mode. Now here I'll say s equal to Hyderabad is given, variable name and value, and here I'll say print s. It is giving the value. Type of s I'm giving. If I say type of s, it is showing that s data type is str. So in Python, whatever data types are created, whatever data types are available, all the data types are created using a class. Using a class, they are using a class. They are created here. Okay. So in object-oriented programming, a class contains variables and functions. So using a class will create an object. Object means we can say variable also. Class variable we can say. Okay. Object can be called as instance of the class or copy of the class, or object contains a memory address or memory location of the class. All these are there. Okay. But in the beginning classes, as of now, I'm just saying what is a class, what is an object, all this. Okay. So here you can say class str it is giving, and here I'll say a equal to 10, b equal to 5, c equal to a plus b, then print c is given. So like this you can see here, and here if I say type of a or b or c, then here I'll say type of b or a. Here you can say class int it is giving. Okay, and here if I say b d equal to 12.3. So if I say type of d, so it is giving like this float. We are giving what only variables and values. We are not assigning data types to the variables. When the program is executed, when the statement is executed, data types are assigned to the variables. That's why they are called as dynamic data types. So here when we are working with Python, in Python, programmers or developers no need to focus on memory management, because memory is used by the program. Program will use the memory, like what data type to use, how many bytes to preserve, what values to store. All these done internally. Okay. So students, these are the features, important features of Python. And today I'm stopping, and tomorrow class is there. Tomorrow I'm taking class. Tomorrow Saturday, tomorrow I'm taking class. And tomorrow we are going to discuss about Python download, installation, what is interactive mode, what is batch mode, how to write the programs executing, how to write program in Notepad, how to execute at command prompt, then how to add a Python path in environment variables in control panel. Like all these we are going to see in tomorrow's session. And those who have not yet registered, please join for the batch. Please pay the fees, so that today I can send you the, I think yesterday you have told no, you have paid the fees. So yesterday one student, okay. So like today, definitely I'll send. Today I will send, and those who have not yet registered, please register for the batch. Okay, so that I can send you the videos and notes. I can send to your mail IDs. Today, if possibility is there, I will send. And others, those who have not yet registered, please join, because already many sessions are over. And tomorrow we'll discuss about installation, all these things. Okay.
Hello, sir.